All right. Hello, everyone. This is first of my stream of Giant Swarm. Václav is sorting postmortems. Today, we have one non-interesting postmortem regarding SSH that doesn't work for node cluster. So let's take a look at the postmortem itself first. I need to share my screen quickly. And that should be, and here we go. So here's the postmortem. It says cluster worker cannot access by SSH. It's on visitor control plane, and the cluster ID is OCS02. And yeah, apparently the SSH for the worker doesn't work. So the first thing I'm to do here is gonna confirm that there's actually any problem, and then we will go forward from that. So let's go back here, and I will share my terminal. And here we go. Okay, should be there now. So here I already prepared something, but I will clear all my screen so it's clean. Okay, so let's first go create kubeconfig for that cluster. That's it. Just gonna use my alias for creating kubeconfig with the admin privileges here. Copy paste the ID. And here we go. Let's check the nodes. Okay, so we have one worker and one master. In order to SSH, I first need to SSH to the control plane. So that's what I'm gonna do here. This is the OSSH is just my alias for obctl SSH, and it adds some of the things that I need for my works, but it's not really important. You can just type obctl SSH visitor master one. It will be the same for you. All right, so we are here. So let's try first SSH on that worker, because the postmortem said that the SSH to worker doesn't work. So let's see what happens. Usually it's immediate reaction. You should see some prompt for accepting the node fingerprint, but it looks like here it's hanging, so it looks like it doesn't really work. Let's just wait a little bit more, but yeah, this just broken, so I'm just gonna cancel that. Because currently I don't know what's happening. I want to see if maybe SSH to master work. That can give me some indication if maybe only part of the network is wrong, or maybe something else is happening here. So I'm just gonna try just blindly SSH to master to see if there's any communication to the cluster at all. Okay, as you can see, SSH to master works. So that means that there's probably something with the network where the workers are, because this is a node pool release. The node pools under different network, and the whole cloud formations and routing for the node pools is in different stack. That can be the problem. As you can see, the network ranges are a little bit different. We don't know what's the size of it, but just like raw looking at it, it looks like they're on different network, and that's probably the case. Another thing that I would like to check here is currently I'm on the tenant cluster master, okay? And I know that from the control plane master, the SSH didn't work. But I want to try if the SSH work from the tenant cluster master. So at least to see that the networks is just broken between the tenant cluster and control plane, but it works fine with the control plane. So I'm just gonna run SSH from the tenant cluster master to the worker. Okay, I see I get prompt by password because I didn't forward my SSH key, but I see the network connection works, so that's fine. So the tenant cluster is fine. The problem here looks to be that we cannot SSH from the control plane to the worker. So we need to work a little bit on that. Currently, I think I have all the information I need to drop from the terminal to the AWS console and try to find if I see any weird stuff that could be indicating the problem here. So I'm just gonna exit here, and I will go back to sharing my browser. It's here. All right, so okay, I could still share my screen. What I'm doing, I'm just gonna open the AWS console into to the visitor control pane account. Okay, let me just share it again so you can see what I'm writing here. There we go. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is obctl open. I want visitor control pane. I want cloud provider, which will open the AWS console for me. I'm not using the tenant cluster argument because I want the control plane account here. Just click that, and that will open my screen, which I'll share you right away. All right, that's it. You should be able to screen my screen. You can see here in Amta Visual Control Plane. One thing that I not always do right, and you should really be aware of that, is check the right region. Because sometimes it might open the wrong region for you, and you need to check which region is the control plane actually in. That may be sometimes hard, sometimes easy, but if you go to the, for example, to the installation repository, and then if you go to the visitor folder, there's a file that's called cluster, which is like the most basic information about the cluster, which includes everything, but the most important thing is the region. And here it tells me that it's, let me just show it here, just to be clear on that. So visitor is here, and want to open the cluster file. And region, this is the control plane part. Host cluster, that's the control plane thing. And it says EU West 1. So I want to make sure I'm in the EU West 1. Why is that important? Because sometimes the customer can have multiple control planes in a different region. And then you are, for example, here, you could go to EU Central. And if you go to CloudFormation, you can see some clusters, so you might think I'm in the right place, but you are in the wrong because you need to be in EU West 1. Here we go. So now I'm just gonna enter the filter for the cluster ID to see the CloudFormation stacks. Why I'm in the control plane account is the reason that we have here the control plane for the finalizers. The finalizers are important regarding the routing because they inject routes into the control plane VPC to the tenant cluster. If those routes are missing, then the traffic would not work. So I was checking here because possibly there could be that, for example, the stack could be in failed state or error because of some conflict or some problem. That means that the road would not be in place, and that would mean that that would be the reason why it's failing. But it looks like this is fine. I'm currently looking at the node pool CloudFormation stack because we know the problem is at the worker place. I just know by the names that this is the control plane and this is the node pool because the control plane doesn't have the node pool ID appended. So that's why I'm gonna. Okay. It's hidden even here. It's the node cluster control plane, and it's just a node cluster nothing. But yeah, you just get used to the things. Everything is green, which is interesting. I'm gonna check the template to see what it was actually adding. So I see that this should be the node pool range, and it should be the routing should be added to all of these three routing tables, which are routing tables on the control plane. This is like private. It's like one AZ, second AZ, and third AZ. So I'm just gonna pick this route table ID, and I wanna take a look on the route table ID to see if there's possibly some problems. Route tables and everything else is on the VPC. I have this quite useful panel here where you can pinpoint service that I often use, so I don't have to go here and look for it like yeah, just easy way. So I'm just gonna, oh no, I just wanna keep this page. Okay, so I'm just gonna open a new tab. And here we go, here, route tables. You see very much of them, but I'm just gonna pass the route table ID, and that's just the visitor private 0. Here, click on route, just scroll a little bit up, and here I hope it was not mute to the time, because it looks like headphones didn't hear any sound, so they muted up itself. Anyway, I'm looking for this range here. So it's 10.1.1.1/24. And the good thing is this is alphabetically ordered, so you don't have to really look that far. Okay, so this is not it. Nope, nope. Okay, it's not alphabetically ordered. I was lying, sorry. But here, that looks close. Okay, that's too far. Okay, that's not here. Okay, that's a problem. That looks like the source of the problems, because here, as you see this CloudFormation stack, it will add this route to this route table, and should it point to this VPC peering, but that's missing somehow. Should be like, there should be like 10.1.1.1.0/24 and routing to the this one, this P6, but it's missing. And that's interesting, because here we see that the status is green and everything was added, but here it's gone. At this point, there's not really enough information to get anywhere why it's not here. There are probably two reasons. Either somebody manually removed it accidentally because of something, or yeah, something, some components remove it, but that would be weird as well, because usually we only use CloudFormation stack to add stuff, and if you delete the stuff, it will remove it. So there would have to be another CloudFormation stuff with same resources that was deleting, but that's not how it happens. To just confirm my thesis, I will probably, usually what I would do, I just manually would add the route to see if that's really the cause of the problem, and I can quickly test it. So I'm just gonna basically edit the routes, add a new route. I'm just gonna copy the data from here. So this is the source, and this is the VPC peering ID I need to put here, and I'm just gonna save the routes. Okay. All right, interesting. Interesting. So here I can see another problem. The VPC peering does not exist. That's something I might have checked before. I didn't. That's really interesting. So now we have other things to go on. I didn't prepare for this. I was hoping this would be working, but that's all right. So let's go back. I didn't do any changes because it failed, so I'm just gonna cancel. And I'll confirm that there's nothing I manually edit, because even if I would edit and it would work, then I would definitely just remove it back, because we don't have any manual changes here, because it could cause conflict. So that will be just only for quick testing that my hypothesis is really right. And as I would test the SSH, it would work, then I would just remove it back. So here we go, VPC peerings, peering corrections here. So there are two deleted VPC peerings, interesting. So here, this is the peering connection here. I'm just gonna paste it. And I can see it's definitely not here, which is weird, definitely weird. The peering connection is created when the cluster is created, and it stays away. It doesn't change at all. So what I'm gonna do now here, I'm just gonna open the tenant cluster account in AWS and see what's on that side, and see if there's maybe some indication why the peering connection doesn't exist, or maybe to see what happened there actually. Interesting enough is that we somehow can go to the master, right? We were able to SSH to master node, and there's only one VPC peering for whole tenant cluster, so there has to be some peering, but it somehow changed. That's interesting. So let's just gonna quick look here. VPC peering connection ID is here. This is different ID than we have in this one, which should not be the case. They should be the same. There maybe there was some error, or maybe there was some deletion in place. Hard to say now. Okay, this is currently the right VPC peering, and you can see in the CIDR list here, and I overclick here, that there is the 10.1.1.2/54 subnet associated with it, and that's the one we usually routing with. But something changed here. Hard to say what, but there may be some bug. Hard to say. Let first check the tenant cluster. So I'm just gonna do similar command as I did before with the obctl open. I'm not gonna share it now, but I'm just adding flag tenant cluster and the tenant cluster ID, so we'll open the tenant cluster AWS console for me. Okay, and again, I'm gonna check my region. East West, it's the right one. Go to CloudFormation. And here we got this. So I'm just gonna go to the TCP stack and TCNP, just have it open it if I need to check as well. And go here. I'm gonna check the date of the creation as well, which is just wonder if it's possible that maybe the finalizer was created in different time than this, and somehow this whole fucked up. So I'm just gonna write down the timestamp just somewhere in my. Just maybe it's going to be useful. Maybe I can just copy paste it rather, right? Wait, okay. Hey, this looks like quite standard thing. So I'm just gonna go to the VPC and want to check on the VPC and the VPC peering. Just gonna use here the ID to little bit filter through them. Okay, so there are 4 VPC peering connections. Only this one, it's probably going to be us, and this looks like it's something customer did. I can easily confirm that if I go to the VPC and tags, and I see, okay, this is really like our flags, because you can see Giants form tags on it. These probably not gonna have them. Yeah, you see, it's just empty. So this is something that we created. VPC active, the ID seems to be the new one, not the old one. So that's interesting. Everything seems to be fine on our side. So it kinda looks on some weird error, either on creation or deletion, because if there was a bug in AWS operator and it would pick wrong peering connection and then try to create those rules to the wrong beeping peering connection, it would fail because the peering connection would not exist in the control plane account. So it had to exist at some point, but then it was probably deleted. Okay, I'm gonna go quickly back to the control plane account. You can just quickly go through a history of the AWS account and assemble here, which is quite nice. So I'm just gonna click here. And I want to take a look at the CloudFormation. The reason why I want to check the types of the creation of this, because okay, so I'm not sure if you remember what was there, but I'm just gonna pass it here to the Windows. This is a timestamp when the control plane stack was created. You see? And this is timestamp when the finalizer was created for that control plane for that node pool. And you see that there is some big error here because the control plane stack on the tenant cluster was created at much older timestamp than this one. This looks like some error occurred when somebody was creating cluster, then he deleted it, and the deletion was not completed, and he created it again. And that's fucked up that this CloudFormation stack stayed here with the wrong values. And then it looks like our AWS operator did not pick up that he needs to update these things. That's the root cause, most probably. You can even see that here in the finalizer stack of the tenant cluster, the timestamp is different. It's older, and that's no way how we can beat, because first the tenant cluster control plane must be finished before the node pool. So this one is wrong. And this one is wrong as well. Some magic happened here. Hard to say now, but I think that's as far as I will go in this postmortem. I will write out the findings in the ticket, and then yeah, we can think about what would be the next step and maybe try to find what was the root cause for it. But there's definitely some customer doing here that they reused the ID, and we don't really count on that much. All right. So it wasn't that much finding in the console in the end. It was just looking at the AWS. Okay, that will be us for my first stream of the postmortem on Giantsform. I'm glad you like it, and yeah, maybe see you in the next time.